It is the last unexplored territory in the world.
Espiritu is Sala, the mother of all caves.
Trust me, you're gonna love this.
What could possibly go wrong diving in caves?
Alister, I can't help but imagine that working with these guys and them forcing you to go caving to shoot their movie, how do you rise to the occasion? Do you use their resources, or do you just say, look, this is my movie, fellas?
I said, this is my movie, fellas, and they gave me the freedom to do that. So I was very blessed in that sense. But you know, the technical challenges that we had to deal with the picture was really what our focus was. It wasn't a concern about dealing with studios or dealing with Jim or any of those sorts of things. But when we wanted to deliver a big picture that was going to have a global reach, for as wide and broad as an audience as we could. So really it was just a matter of day-to-day dealing with all of the technical challenges of making the picture, and they're sort of twofold. There's the 3D elements, obviously, that become a big management issue, and then there's the underwater elements and the caving elements, which become technically quite challenging as well, because you've got to build the sets, you've got to build them in a way that's accessible for crew, that's safe, and yet at the same time is dangerous and real and realistic in terms of how they look, and then working underwater, of course, has huge challenges. But again, it's about putting in the right team of creative people and technical people, and just managing your production and trying not to look too far ahead and just worry about the day's work. But it was a wonderful experience. In the end, it was a wonderful experience.
I mean, it was always Alister's picture, but it's because we were in creative sync right from the beginning. We were always all making the same movie, and so it was the job of Andrew as the immediate day-to-day producer, and my job as executive producer to back his play.
Well, it almost feels like this is a film for you personally as an adventurer rather than a filmmaker, and wanting to see that hidden world and show it to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. I mean, we had done these exploration films that were documentaries, Andrew and I, for 10 years. We did 6 expeditions together. Some of them required 9 months of preparation. And I know on those projects I was at sea for about 9 months total, and broken up over the different expeditions during that time. Just absolutely loved it. So here was an opportunity to do a feature that was on those same themes of exploration and what drives people to do that and put themselves in harm's way and accept the rigor and the discipline that's required to stay alive in these tough environments.
Give me a hand. We will find a way out.
How hard was it for you to convince Andrew and Alister, to convince James that you really are going to say, look, this is Australian, they speak Australian, it's very Australian, and if the world's going to watch it, that's how it is?
I think it's important. We didn't deliberately go out to go, let's write a script that's all Australian. We wrote a screenplay that is of the people who do this activity. They just happen to be Australians, but the story itself is appealing to a broad audience. It's not an Australian story as such. And so that's the language those people use. That's what we went with.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I mean, yes, it's definitely got that flavor. It's a story about a bunch of Australian cave divers. It's an international team. I mean, there are Americans in it as well. But when we tested the film in the U.S., we had 0 comment on that. I mean, negative comment. People they were keyed into the characters, they were keyed into the events of the story, they accepted the film on its own terms. It just is not an issue. I mean, we always thought we were making a movie for a global audience. It just happened to be set here.
And I think American audiences respond really well. They've got a strong impression of what Australia is. And in a way, maybe some of the elements of the film play into ideas Americans might have about Australians too, as a more, as an adventurous society, or as a more of a
I think it worked on that level. I think it's like, those crazy Australians, they do that stuff.
Yeah.
They do that kind of exploration. It seemed to fit the American or North American perception of the Australian culture as being fearless explorers.
And the only thing you've got to do, technically, is you've got to make sure your dialogue's clean. And I know, having made another movie where we used a lot of production sound, in the end, and Americans did struggle and do struggle to actually make out what the characters are saying, because not only is it Australian vernacular, but it's a 1941 vernacular as well. So we're very clear with this from the start that we're going to loop all of the dialogue in the picture, which we have to do anyway because there's so much noise with the flowing water. But it also then gives us the ability to actually sit the dialogue a little bit higher in the mix, so you get that clarity for American audiences.
Now, one final question: major character, Frank Maguire, Richard Roxburgh, is this larger-than-life man who drags all these people along with his crazy dreams. How much, Alister, did you find that this mimicked the people that you were working with?
I think I see where he's going with this.
Yes. Well, it's a bit like, filmmaking's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
exactly
put your
what it
hand
is.
up and say, hey, I've got this idea, let's go and do this thing, you know, let's shoot a movie about Titanic, or, you know, and then you've got to convince a whole bunch of people to come along with you and do it.
We sort of got sucked along on his dream in this one, you know, really. But you know, the second you become the director of a movie, you're dragging that cast and that crew along with a dream, with a vision that's in your head.
And that's actually a real responsibility as a director, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's that motivation. Every day you go to work, to have that enthusiasm, that energy, and keep people enthused and excited by what they're doing.
I think it's just what we do. I mean, as filmmakers, you know, we get people excited, whether it's people that are going to fund the film, people that are going to make the film as technical crew, the actors. You know, everybody's got to be enthusiastic, and usually the person that is the spokesperson for that day in, day out is the director.
James, we have an audience question, which is, will Battle Angel ever see the light of day?
Absolutely.
Rocking it.
Full stop.
Full stop. Nice. Congratulations on an epic film.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sanctum.